Hey everyone, welcome to SingleStore's The No Show. I'm Lisa Martin, and today we've got SingleStore and HCL joining the program. I'm going to be talking to you about the shift to business outcomes focused initiatives. Two guests from SingleStore. We have Gaurav Dhall, it's VP of Global SI Partnerships. Gaurav, it's great to have you on The No Show.
Thanks, Lisa. Good to be here.
And from HCL, Venkata Krishna, the head for Global Solutions for Data Analytics. Venkata, thank you so much for carving out time in your evening to join us on the live program today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Lisa, in the show. It's my privilege. I mean, it's a great privilege, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. We think so too. And I want to invite you, the audience, if you have any questions. We're going to be talking about data first approach as Raj and HCL were talking about in Revolution, SingleStore's launch event in October. Every company is becoming a data company. So all your questions about data and how it's being managed and the opportunities, pop them in the LinkedIn Live chat and we'll answer those accordingly. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to walk through three topics. The first is we're going to talk about the data first approach as an initiative, what it means to HCL, how they're working with SingleStore to do that. Then we're going to talk about this shift to outcomes focused approach. You're probably hearing the word outcomes all over. We're hearing it at every event. It's all about the outcomes. How are these two powerhouses enabling that? We get some customer examples as well. And then the third thing is we're going to talk about the cloud for the future. We all know that cloud transformation and digital transformation has quickly accelerated in 2020. So you're going to get what kind of data platforms HCL and SingleStore are building for the future. All right, so Venkata, we're going to start with you. The data first approach, as I mentioned, data is the nucleus. HCL and Raj talked about this in Revolution just 6 weeks or so ago. We're going to see more of that in the enterprise. But what is HCL's data first approach? What does that mean?
Thanks, Lisa, for asking me this question. It goes back to 4 years when we started this whole digital analytics practice, and we have constructed a framework called Phoenix, a framework for scale digital and data executions. And when we started this particular journey, we started building data platforms for various clients, various enterprises. And the way we looked at data platforms are not just building robust data platforms, but help customers drive business value. I think that was the important intent, and the fact that most of the customers were expecting speed to market, which is very important. When I talked about speed to market, it's all about driving business value. So when we started this whole data first journey, we looked at the traditional way of how the customer is spending their effort. There was 80% of effort that was going into data engineering and data management, whereas 20% effort was going on insights. If I have to correlate that with the pyramid, traditional pyramid, the bottom part of the pyramid was data engineering, which was taking 50% of the effort. The second part was data operations, which was taking 30% of the effort. And the tip was insights. We wanted to flip that. We wanted to invert that particular pyramid and make sure that our clients spend more time on business insights rather than having to spend a lot of effort on data engineering and data operations. That kind of gave birth to data first approach, where one, we started understanding the user personas, business user personas better. We started looking at journey maps where the clients are today and how we can help them moving towards outcome-based models. We also looked at how we can bring in resiliency and engineering efficiency into how we drive insights. That's when the data first approach, we looked at various solution tenets, such as how do we create an adaptive data platform to incubate more and more use cases, business use cases. How do we bring in intelligent data management initiatives, which are lean and self-healing enabled? We looked at consumption-based insights, which is all about understanding consumption patterns of our data consumers, of our customers, and how do we use that to create insights that could be descriptive in nature, prescriptive, predictive, and autonomous in nature. And finally, data ops to drive that consistency. Net, what we wanted to do was, make sure that our client understands that data is the first-class citizen in the organization. What it means is it drives the business value directly. Hence, the whole construct of data first has been brought in.
So you talked about insights. Sorry, you talked about insights, and the thing that jumped out at me is, companies can have a ton of data at their disposal sitting in big databases, but if they can't actually extract value almost in real time, especially these days, it's the value of it. Data doesn't get better with age. It's not like wine. So when you said that, I thought speed and scale. And every time I think speed and scale, I think of SingleStore. And it's an easy way to remember that: SingleStore SS, speed and scale SS. So Venkat, before we have Gaurav jump in here, talk to me a little bit about why SingleStore and how is it powering this data first approach?
Sure, Lisa. There are three reasons behind that. Again, I go back to the whole data first approach. One, business value. Second, scale, and third is the cloud first. We believe that what we have constructed as part of data first is ability to create right data made available consistently for business so that they can start consuming it. And the speed is very important for that, and ability to adapt to new use cases, new kinds of use cases, innovative use cases, and create this whole shared platform, which is one platform that would incubate all kinds of use cases. We believe that SingleStore fits in very well with that particular adaptive data approach that we have envisaged as part of data first. The second very important is it's not about point solutions, it's not about point business solutions, it's all about scale. When we look at platform, it's all about delivering not just the data warehouses, which was very traditional in nature, but also look at descriptive, predictive, prescriptive, and autonomous solutions. So the scale with which we could use the platform to incubate all kinds of use cases to drive business value has been another reason why single source is a core platform for our data first strategy. The last but not the least, as you have stated earlier, is the cloud first approach. The fact that most of our customers are moving towards cloud, that could be hybrid cloud, that could be dual cloud, but the fact that every client wants us to move them from a foundational data platform to transversal and world-class data platform, that's where SingleStore fits in really well, makes us elevate some of the client's existing capabilities, cloud capabilities, manage multiple workloads, and move them towards a world-class platform.
Excellent. So that sets up Gaurav perfectly. Talk to us about the synergies from SingleStore's perspective that you have the market leadership with HCL.
So let me just paint a paradigm here, right? It'll be interesting to just get a sense of how we feel the world changed over the last 15 years. A lot of innovation has happened on the infrastructure layer, where cloud providers, AWS, Azure, most recently GCP, and in some parts of the world, Alibaba, they're getting used to disintermediate everything around the infrastructure layer. There's been a lot of innovation and transformation that's happened on the application layer, where any business application, look at what Salesforce has done and a lot of other software as a service providers have done. They've taken a business application and have kind of disintermediated that, and they've played a huge role in innovation on that area. Right in the middle of these two sits data. Data powers these applications, sits on the infrastructure that all these cloud providers have been able to innovate around and had the enterprise get the benefit of that. The only real innovation and transformation that's happened on the data layer has been Hadoop. And all of us know that most customers haven't really gotten the value that they want out of Hadoop. The promise of Hadoop hasn't lived up to itself. And just look at that paradigm on one angle, and the other angle, we look at how information is stored for various applications. Almost every application has a purpose-built storage, purpose-built database that works beautifully for that application. And now try and multiply that across a variety of applications that really exist in an enterprise. You've got a huge number of silos where you've got purpose-built applications and locked into a data source or a database that doesn't really very well talk to the adjacent one or the third one or the fourth one. For Venkat spoke about insights. Venkat spoke about having data engineering. Imagine the pain an enterprise has to go to when they have to draw insights, when they have all these silos of information and data lying. They have Hadoop that hasn't really been leveraged to the extent it can, and they're unable to get the value they want out of it. And here comes SingleStore. We're able to.
Let's talk about, sorry to interrupt you, want to move forward. Let's get to some of those outcomes, because what you guys both talked about is really key. It's about flipping that pyramid, that we've got to be able to spend more time deriving insights from the data to make decisions. Right now, so many companies are still in the, we're surviving, we continue to pivot during this, global health and economic crisis. So talk to me about those outcomes that you're actually achieving. I want to get to some of the meat there and some of the customers. Then Kat, let's start with you. When HCL has moved away from this IT projects focused or this tech project focused to business outcomes focused, what are some of the outcomes that customers have seen, maybe in banking or in telco?
Yeah, let me talk about that. The fact that, see, the clients have been choosing us as a strategic partner to drive, quite a few business outcomes. And the way we are crafting our commercial construct is also moving away from traditional managed services to what we call it as outcome-based models. The outcome-based models would start off with crafting a service catalog to start with, then moving towards a product catalog. What it means on the execution is you start with the story points and eventually move towards value points. And what are those value points? Those are the business outcomes. Let me give some of the examples of what we have been doing, be it in terms of banking, telcos, the pharma industries. Let me start with the pharma industry itself. We are working with one of the global pharma, which is based out of US. And traditionally, this particular organization enterprise, as we started working with them, they have been working with a lot of historical data to drive better supply chain planning. But what happened, due to COVID, is there was a huge disruption in this particular supply chain planning, because there was a huge demand hike for the drugs, and it was completely, not based on the historical data, but based on where there are, significant COVID cases, significant quarantine episodes that are happening. So what they had to do is rely on the current data, where we can bring in the data very quickly and reshape some of the demand forecast what they have, and take a cue from previous supply chain disruptions. So we started crafting a platform for them where we could bring in all of this data and scale them and test some of our cognitive models so that it can provide an output or an insight which this particular pharma company can leverage and reshape their demand forecast. What we've also done is we help them in terms of planning their inventory much better in the places where there is high on COVID cases, a lot of quarantines. So what it means is, based on the data and the evaluation, we could arrive at the areas we could focus on upfront. See, this has generated a significant business value for this particular pharma company, and we continue to evolve on that. So that was one of the use case. The others could be, if I have to take an example of say a retail industry. We have been working with one of this huge UK and Europe retailer, where most of their campaigns runs on pricing data. The fact that they compete with they compete with other competitors on the pricing, and they need to get the data very quickly so that they can spend some time on the data and create pricing insights and run their campaigns, and that's how their revenue gets generated. But traditionally, what used to happen, it used to take a lot of time to bring in such data because they were relying on third-party data to get that data. So what it means was, they were getting the data on Wednesdays every week, and they were running the campaigns on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, which means they have missed out on the 3 days, the initial 3 days.
Right.
What we did was we brought in real-time data, we created a platform which could bring in real-time competitor data from their website itself, and quickly use that particular information to start creating campaigns on the same day, so that they don't have to lose out on revenue on the first 3 days.
So and these are some imperative data. Sorry to interrupt you, as we just want to keep moving forward. But some of the things that you're saying, it's that real time is never been more important than now, whether it's pharma, as you mentioned. I think everyone's ears perk up when you hear pharma, or retailers who have to pivot to figure out, how do we go from being able to have brick and mortar to being able to do curbside, for example. So didn't mean to interrupt you, but thank you for kind of just giving us some insight into what you guys are doing there, because every industry really needs the ability to have that real-time data. I do want to ask Gaurav one quick question. You've been involved with HCL for a long time. Big transformation that Venkat's talking to us about. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, my association with HCL is long and deep. I've seen the company evolve. And one thing that particularly stands out with HCL is that it's one of the only partners that we've got that has transformed itself and has looked at the value chain of how customers engage from a persona perspective, like Venkat described. And it's everything from design first, design thinking, down to integrating systems and all things that sit in the middle, like analytics and everything around. It's still thought through that. It's of particular interest to us because personas drive behavior, and certain personas need certain kind of business value at a certain speed, at a certain volume that we're able to work with HCL and provide. And we already have invested in tons of IP together. We've trained several people who are experts in digital, expert in these customer personas and driving insights that have strong knowledge of SingleStore and are able to work together with customers and us to make things happen.
That's what it's all about, making things happen. All right, last question, then Kat, for you. As we set up in the very beginning of our conversation, our third topic, cloud for the future. Talk to me about what kinds of data platforms HCL is building on the cloud for the future and what big bets you're placing on SingleStore.
Sure. So let me start by saying the whole data first journey has been great for us with various customers, and we quickly realized that we are helping clients to move from what we call it as federated data platforms, what they have, to foundational, to govern, to transversal, to world class. I think that's the maturity level. We are moving some of our clients towards what we call it as world class data platforms. We have made significant investments on cloud and cloud native solutions. We have created joint propositions with partners like SingleStore to create what we call it as outcome based solutions, which delivers business value, not just looking at platform in isolation, which is very important aspect. Why SingleStore? I would like to use analogy of SAFE, S-A-F-E. S stands for smart. We believe SingleStore is smart. Smartness comes from the fact that it not just looks at evolution, but also devolution. When I say devolution, it's all about simplifying the entire ecosystem and managing multiple workloads. The second is agile and align, what I call it as a platform that could enable us in terms of crafting composable architectures, which is where most of our investments are going towards, and making sure that we create pervasive intelligence where we can connect the dots between business processes, information processes, and data processes coming together. The third is predominantly future-proof and future-ready, where we help the clients to move towards self-service and outcome-based, and end with ease of use interfaces through this particular platform. So that's our big bets on SingleStore, and the fact that Gaurav mentioned that we have created joint propositions, that is going to drive business value big time.
What a great acronym. Thank you for saying that. So SAFE, I think SingleStore, speed and scale, SAFE, agile, future ready, ease of use. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules and the holiday season to join us on this episode of The No Show. We appreciate it. And we'll have to have you guys back because I know we're just scratching the surface. But Venkat, Gaurav, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. We want to thank all of you for watching. And again, safe, agile, future ready, ease of use. Yes, 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 and yes. We will see you next time. Stay safe.